Okay, welcome everyone. Expecting 4 tonight because poor Neo is not able to join us. So we have. I'm looking in Roll20 and I can see Sharpie, Ash, and Dragon Charm, and Drakus will be along in a few minutes. So to recap, I guess from last week. Well, I've got a very squeaky chair here. You might find that some of that coming through. You just spent last session trekking from the Bakamora up into the mountains, the mountain pass in the Sanrak Mountains, to the border castle keep of Votaran, and it's a ruin. You found yourself. Not in any. Hang on, I've got a bit of background noise. I'll just stop that. And sorry, I'm back. There's a bit of rustling. Cripes, it was like a cross between Shadowfell, crossing up, keep flipping between the Shadowfell and the Dread Domain that you're in, that the Bakamora seem to have become. And beneath, you fought your way to a corrupted spirit, a corrupted elemental of some sort. And upon coming up from beneath ground, the skies are now once again clear. And there's a couple of sages, researchers who you've rescued that were holing up in the region. And that's pretty much where we left off, unless there's any other key points that anyone wanted to jump in and point out.
I got a shiny new sword named Richard.
Truly, yes. Yes.
Well, that's not what he likes to be called, but that's what he's going to be called.
Okay. That's right. You said something along the lines of, "This is a sword that you don't disagree with," or something, or you're not quite getting along, and you call him Richard.
Yes.
Okay. Very specky sword. It seems it was owned by the previous commander of the keep. Of the city. So I think these researchers, they'd investigated this rubbing for you at the end of last session, and indicated that there was nothing. I think Ash, you had asked about whether there was something you were missing, or missing information, or bits torn off, or something along those lines. And no, it seems like it's a fairly intact rubbing. It looks like it's probably referring to places within the city of Mezro, which is where the rubbing was taken. And it's a logical but not physical map of the city, depicted as if it's a maze, and shows these locations in the city, but it might not have immediately been apparent that it was a map of Mezro. Even to Riddle, you've lived there for a time. Who else? Artis has been residing there for some time. He's got a bit of a hideout there in the ruin. But all the rest of you are from further north, I believe. So, what do you want to do from here?
I believe we were still actually looking for the place the city of Mezro actually was, as opposed to where we thought it was.
Yes. Yep. Yeah, that's right. There was, I think, Artis Simba, who's still in the village of Omakayoka, I think it was. He was very badly injured or wounded in some way by battle with the dark forces of the Bakamura. So much so that he was incapacitated, and Masika's there with him now. That's probably some days of jungle travel away for you. Ash, I can see typing
Sounds
on your
like
end,
a plan.
but no voice. So is your mic going?
Sorry, you're talking to me?
Oh yeah, I was just making sure because I'd seen you typing and so on, but not said anything. So I wanted to make sure your mic was good. Sorry, Riddle, what was that you were saying?
Oh, yeah. What was Riddle saying?
I missed it. I was just
I was saying whatever you... sounds like a plan.
yeah. So Masika says she's keen to head back now to Artis and asks these sages if they want to come with you.
Didn't we agree that our lady friend would stick around and we would take instead her Dragonborn or her...
Oh, sorry, you're right. It's
Okay.
not Masika with you. It's Dragonbait, isn't it, at the moment?
I believe so, yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So I guess Dragonbait has not got the power of speech. So I guess these guys, the sages, pretty much say they're keen to spend more time with this map of yours, this rubbing, but they're also keen to return back to civilization. And if that's the way you're going, they would like to go with you. Neo, however, says this is where he departs and he's heading south into Samarak.
Were we looking for a lost city or town covered by powerful illusions? Is this what the map is supposed to lead us to?
The map is of that town.
The map is of that town, and it looks like Mezro itself. It's a map of a logical map of Mezro. So if you look at that like a logical map of train lines, and they're all parallel with right angle kinks in them and so on.
I see.
It's similar to what you're seeing here. So it might not, if you saw a map of London and a map of the metro, you might not put two and two together. But that's what these sages are saying, that this looks like a logical map of Mezro, and it might be a little bit hard, but if they can look at the lay of the land of Mezro, they might be able to identify where these locations are that are marked on the train stops, if you like.
I see. Well, Archmage, what do you reckon? What do you make of this, then?
It means we'd have to go back to Mezro, which is a long, long walk. But to be honest, we got to get out of this junk hill sometime. Now's a good time as any.
Is Mezro... Is it a completely landlocked place?
No.
Are we...
Riddle, you would know that you can get there by river, that it's you would just travel. You could go back to Jacus's base camp, his fort that his troops have made, and you actually sailed past the river that goes inland to Mezro.
Okay, well, I'll relay this to my new companions.
Okay. In fact, what I might be able to do is point it out to you. I'll just move to a different map. I'll have a little look. Oh, there we go.
And apologies if you mentioned this before, but it's been a long fortnight. Which city was Riddle native to? Did they come from Mezro, or have they been there, or is this unknown to Riddle as well?
Riddle's from Mezro.
That's all. Okay.
But things have changed since I was last there.
True.
Yes. And so, do we think these elementals? Do we know the provenance of them? Are they to do with the cult?
They were to do with the Shadowfell.
That's true, but I think I sort of questioned a while back why so many disparate extraplanar forces or activity was focused on this continent. Like why Shadowfell and Fae and Elemental, for instance. And whatever this Orville cult was seeking. It just seems like a bit of a coincidence. And, I mean, back in the Frozen North, we also had multiple cults. We had the Levistus cult. You know, like, this could be a matter that either these cults are all at cross purposes, but they all have a similar end goal, perhaps? I guess we don't have enough information to decide. But if we're able to make it back to Jacques' base camp, you're saying we can get a boat to use the river to get to Mezro?
Yeah.
That's probably the quickest way.
Maybe if we get to base camp, are we able to get more of this anti-insect ointment? I'm just conscious we may not have a lot of it left.
Oh,
Well, to get back there is like many weeks through the jungle.
Damn.
the anti-insect stuff, you now have enough know-how to, as long as you take the time to forage, to make it yourself.
Sweet.
So if
Oh, and have we had a long rest since our last adventure?
no, you've pretty much just come above. Oh, you can. Let's assume you have.
We had at least a short rest.
Yeah. Yep. Because I think you'd gone up a level, but you just hadn't had an opportunity to change spells or anything on your trip. So if you have a look on the map that's in front of you, if I draw your attention to Refuge Bay and Ishar, which is the sunken city, that's where you guys, your ship currently is, and on that little peninsula there is where Jacques has his 200 or so troops. And you've marched from Ishar south past Hesari and then into the Bakamora between the Sky Lizard Mountains and the Peaks of Flame. You went through the Chaltangar over many days and then into the Bakamora, which is this little, I'll ping it for you. Here, this little region, completely enclosed in mountains. You can see the tip of Samarak and Snapping Turtle Bay further to the south. Dragonbait's pacing about backwards and forwards quite a bit and keeps looking down the way you came and gestures there a few times as if, okay, let's go.
What does he say to me?
He says he's keen to get back and unite with his companions.
Well, great. Many weeks of walking. Let's go.
Okay.
Blimey.
All right, so Sharpie, you've got survival. Do you want to do a survival roll for me?
Yep, that'll be me. Advantage?
Yes, thanks. The rest of the party will chip in and assist where they can.
I'll stick with that 28.
Hey, natural 20, okay. Very good. All right, so knowing what you know, you're able to avoid the treacherous aspects of the terrain, and you don't see any sign of this Shadowfell incursions on your trip back down into the Bakamora, and you make sort of double travel. You find some pretty easy paths to travel, And the other thing you sense as you're going through this area is there's not that sense of weight on your shoulders that you've felt for many days. A weight has lifted.
Sense of what, sorry?
Foreboding and like a weight on your shoulders.
All right. So the fog has lifted from the Bakamori, you say?
It has, yeah.
Well, they should be happy to see us.
Yep. Over the next few days, you slog your way through the jungle. You do have encounters. I'm not going to. We won't roll through them. There's the sorts of things that you've encountered before. A couple of times you have to avoid this this blue mist that you encountered at one stage, and definitely avoided by taking to the trees. You do that a couple of times, and you also have some encounters with enormous dinosaurs in the jungle on the way back as well, but they're herbivores, and you manage to avoid scaring them or anything like that. Eventually you get back to the Omikayoka tribe and are reunited with Masika and Artasimba. Obviously
We have returned.
you are hailed as heroes. You've lifted the mists, and the druid of the tribe says that his connection with the ley lines and with the gods of nature, doesn't mention anyone in particular, but it's suddenly strengthened and returned back to what it hasn't been like in years.
Did we ascertain what the source of the mist was? If I recall, it also sort of dulled my connection to the gods.
It did, yeah.
I think I would like to spend a communion, like one of these days. I would have just asked as my 3 questions. I would have just gone, is this mist rolling in from the Shadowfell, or is it rolling in from the Fae, or is it to do with Shavalak? That sort of question.
Okay.
Would I have noticed any change in my patron's presence?
It hasn't strengthened and it hasn't weakened out of all of this. Okay.
Through the process of elimination, do I get any kind of inkling if it comes from any one realm in particular?
Yeah, you can roll a Arcana or Religion, one of the two, for me, with advantage with the party helping you out.
Okie dokie.
And if someone is particularly skillful in the other one, they can roll that.
Sharp your roll, Arcana.
Okay.
Nice.
Okay.
Ooh, nat 20 on the second
Alright.
one.
So from your religious learnings, you believe that the region you were in was probably a dread domain, particularly going by the names that you saw on those signposts. And the dread domains are like prison spheres or prison planes of existence, usually containing some sort of heinous Dark Lord and whatever. And the Bakamora seems to have been, at least temporarily, turned into a prison of some sort for some creature. So one of these entities or one of these essences that you may have destroyed or at least thwarted may have returned this part of the world from its... basically lowered the boundaries so that... and returned this whole region, however many 5, 6, 10 days march across, back to the prime material plane.
So not only is something corrupting to create these elementals, but something else is imprisoning them in demiplanes? Is that...
No, you would think that maybe one of these elementals or one of these beings was so bad or so unworthy or so worthy of being ferreted away from the primaterial plane and imprisoned by some other power, whatever it is that causes things to be taken into the dread domains.
Yeah. I'll make a note to share that with the party, certainly.
But there's clearly some sort of corruption going on, a corruption of the natural order, and it's been prevalent, persistent for many years in throughout Chult. And you've at least seen a couple of these powerful entities that seem to manifest that corruption. First, that giant Fae in the top of the temple, and now this lightning elemental within Votaran. On top of that, let's have a look. The sages
Go ahead.
have been conferring and poring and theorising over this rubbing, and they believe that there's two texts. There's two arcane texts that they decipher within the maze, as if the maze forms writing as well. And one of the phrases is "we are hidden," and another one is "shadows within the maze."
Oh, it's something... Either something is imprisoned, or whatever has been doing the imprisoning has also worked its way onto the maze, maybe?
Are you sharing this with Masika and artists and so on?
Unless someone stops me, I think I would be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Artist pipes in and says that confirms his belief that, and obviously he's an optimist and is might be jumping at what he wants to be true, but he thinks the "we are hidden," if this is a Mezroan message, that they're basically saying that they are hidden, that they're somewhere else, another plane or place or whatnot. And it confirms to him that the Mezro that you look at as a ruin is a shadow of itself.
So these waypoints on the map, sort of the connections on the map in Mezro, indicate any way we can find out where the actual Mezro is?
The sages believe that they might be associated, that these locations might be touchstones, that if you go to each place in a particular sequence, a very common thing amongst Mezroans is maze runners or maze running, and you go through at a certain pace and join the dots, so to speak, and run the maze your own way, or the right way. And if you do that, it's like a tumbler or a key or a combination lock.
Right, and so Ash, do you really think this Senraj person's going to be in Mezro? This is a lot of effort to go for nothing if we don't know.
Well, I could ask with a commune spell, perhaps. I know that through our last communion, we did ascertain that this person was still alive. I could definitely ask if it was in Mezro.
Well, that does seem rather important.
Just a little bit.
Any other questions? What about you, Riddle? If there was anything I could ask my god, if you have any burning questions, I can only phrase them in a yes or no manner.
Not at the moment. Give me time.
Not a problem. So, okay, well then, on any spare sliver of time, or maybe first thing in the morning, Ash will do her ritual and go into a trance.
Okay.
She will ask if the person they are seeking is in Mezro.
The person they are seeking, this Alessander.
Yeah.
No, the person you are seeking, Ash.
Shavalak.
Oh, I'd ask both. I'd ask both those questions.
Right. Yeah, so in terms of is Alessander in Mezro, the answer is yes. Let's see. Okay, you find when you're asking about Shavalak, you find a stronger connection, similar to what you sensed when you cast Summon Planar Ally, Ash.
All right.
And rather than just getting a yes/no question, you get a Confucian saying sort of thing, and it goes. I won't go word for word, but it's along the lines of Shavalak is a symbol of a greater pestilence on the land.
I see.
Shavalak, Tahakero, and Ilafukantho are all cut from the same cloth.
My final question will be, do they all serve one master?
None of them serve any master but themselves.
Okay. I relay that back.
Okay.
I can't make heads or tails of this. At least before Orville, we had one antagonist pretty much. We knew who was the linchpin, but
Much simpler.
there's so many moving parts over here.
The sage, Sepko, I think it's Sefek, says that his interpretation is that you might have been sent here to defeat Shavalak, or asked to come and defeat Shavalak, but that was just one name of many, and it's really a symptom of a broader problem.
That sounds about right, I think. Definitely, I don't think I could leave without trying my best to heal the whole continent or solve the problem of the root. I just wish we knew what the root was and how this Orville all comes into it.
Well, so it sounds like we're going to Mezro after all, because if there's going to be an answer for 3 weird demon kings, whatever, Mezro is going to be it. Sharpie doesn't look happy about this.
It's just a buffet of extraplanar enemies, really, isn't it? But look on the bright side, Archmage. This is hardly the last haunted ancient city we will have plumbed by now.
Woohoo! I can
where
have
are we
2
right
staves
now?
of power.
Where are we right now?
Hello, Jackets.
Hello, Jackus. Everyone's back with
Hello.
in the village of Omikayoka. Arta
Oh,
Simba
is
has
it hit?
recovered,
Okay.
and you're conferring
Alright.
with the sages that you rescued, the village elders, and the other party of Dragonbait, Masika, and Arta Simba.
Oh, okay. That's like here in the Samrock Mountains, right?
You're back in the guts of the Bakamora now, back on flat jungle.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Oh, Mezro is far from where we are.
Yeah, it's going to be one hell of a walk.
Well, we can go back to our fort, right? And then take a ship from there.
You can, yep. Okay. So the village elders say to you the villagers are very keen on putting on a festival in your honour,
Oh, lovely.
and so if you can hold off for the next night, a great feast will be had.
Oh, Ash would love to stay and observe the local festivities.
Okay.
You know, it gives her a chance to prepare some spells and do some communion for one more day. You know, anything to get a bit more, of an edge.
Yep. Okay. So you spend the day in the tribe, mixing with the people. At the end of the evening, there's a great feast and lots of singing and dancing, culminating with you being gifted some treasures of the tribe, and each of you are given a pendant which has got like a dried. It doesn't look that appealing. It's got some sort of strange dried fruit on it. And the druid of the village says that this fruit can you can cast it. It's magical and can absorb magical energy, and basically it's like a one shot. They can store up to a 3rd level spell. Anything more and you'll destroy it by casting it with too much power. But you can put a 3rd level spell into this, and if the spellcaster has fully cast the spell, taking whatever components or things that is required, if you eat the fruit, so it looks like a giant prune or a giant sultana of some sort, you can then, as an action, cast that spell without needing any components.
Oh,
As an action, cast the spell.
Well, yeah. So, but much like as a ring of spell storing might, you put a spell in it, and once you've cast it, it consumes the components and whatever, and then even let's say a wizard casts fireball into your fruit for you. It means that you would be able to cast fireball once as an action.
So something like Leomund's tiny hut would be also cast as an action?
Oh, it still takes the same duration to cast. If that's what you mean. So if you put a spell that takes an hour to cast or something like
So
that.
we don't get to cast the spell as an action, we get to cast the spell.
Yeah, but you're not spell casting, so because you're not a spellcaster.
Yeah, so you don't expend the slot and stuff.
No, there's no slot to expend or anything.
I got
like
that.
that.
There's no slot to expend or anything.
Yeah. I mean, I could put something like, a heat mass healing word or something, or even a revivify in one of these fruits if you'd like.
I think that sounds good. Revivify is always helpful.
Yeah, unfortunately, yes.
So
I
you've
hope
got
not too commonly needed.
yeah.
You'd be surprised.
Well, we want at least one hanging around just in case Ash goes down.
That's true.
Riddle's like looking nervous now.
Yeah, sadly.
Don't worry. We've only had to resurrect 2 people, and no, both both Zach.
I mean, I've had to res, Zach twice, 2 NPCs, so really it's been 4 deaths, at least. There were more deaths that we couldn't resurrect, so actually I think there were 6 deaths, but only 4 were reversible.
You know what? You can, if we all got one, you can use the revivify on mine.
Yeah.
Sharpie pats you on the top of the leg and says, "Don't worry, you'll fit in fine, Riddle. We're all good."
Let's not test the cats have 9 lives.
Yeah. We are level 13, yes?
Yes.
Yes, okay. Well, yes, I would be happy to cast Revivify into as many of these as you'd like, as far as gems allow. We have enough gems for a couple, for sure.
Just cast a regular cure spell into mine, please.
Well, I mean, the thing is, having now dealt with a basilisk, I can just see myself being turned to stone and all the gems being turned to stone with me, and then we'd be caught out. So, yeah, but sure. Who wants to have a mass healing word or maybe a 3rd level cure wounds? I don't know. You tell me what you want.
Healing word's not great because you still have to use an action to cast it.
That's true. What about an aid? A level 3 aid spell. That's as an action. That's 10 HP to 3 people.
What's the range on aid?
30 feet. Mass heal word is 60 feet. And mass healing word is also like 6 people, or 6 creatures.
Yeah, Sharpie will go the mass healing word. I think even with this action, it's still probably better.
Sure. I'll cast a mass healing word into your fruit.
Okay.
Thank you.
So Sharpie's got a mass healing word. Jackus, what are you having in yours?
Can you put in a mass cure wounds?
No, I can only do a level 3 cure wounds because mass cure wound is a level 5 spell. It wouldn't fit.
Oh.
Up to 3rd level.
So
Yeah, put in a revivify on mine because
sure.
I'm a tank anyway, so but most likely I'm the last one to
Yep.
Yeah.
fall.
What
Yeah.
about
Okay, I
you,
will
Riddle?
spend 300 gems.
Yeah. Yep. And Riddle, what were you getting?
I thought I was getting a revivify
Okay,
as well.
so you've got a revivify as well.
Yep.
You need to cross off the gem. And Ash.
Yep, I will do that as well. For me, I will put an aid, I think.
Okay. All right. So, with a bit of a hangover and full bellies and content, you awaken the next morning, quite late in the morning, and you can pack up your Ankylosaurus and start to head out.
So we're gonna off to Camp Vengeance.
Yes.
Okay. Can we get more repellents from the village?
Insect repellent?
Yeah, from the village.
No,
I think we're almost running out of those.
Masika is harvesting that as you go and showing you where you can find the colourful clay that's used.
All right.
So from here on in, you're not using your stores. You're just going that little bit slower and harvesting it.
Okay.
Okay, so to montage this trip back to Fort Vengeance, you encounter zombies at one point and very handily put them down. Some of them have the triangle on the forehead. There's a couple that look quite old that have the triangle on the forehead, which is a symbol of Raznisi. A couple of days later, you encounter a tribe of Grung, which you're able to communicate with the Grung sort of just appearing up in the trees. Is there anything particular or an outcome you would want to have with a encounter with some tribal Grung? Little frog people.
Really? Not really for jackals.
Oh, they seem cute.
Yeah.
I want to make
Okay.
contact.
Okay.
We have someone with telepathy. We can overcome the language barrier.
Can they speak common?
No, they can't. But I think Riddle, you might speak the language. You're a native of this area.
What do I know Grung?
No. I'm talking about.
I don't think I did.
I'm just talking about Cholton. The base language for residents of Cholt.
Oh, okay. I suppose that would be common for Cholt.
It would be common for Cholt, yeah.
So
you might want to just have a look at your languages. You can just. I think it would be natural to have, Cholton as your sort of common language, but then there's nothing stopping you picking common as well as one of your languages.
not a problem. I don't have Cholt as a language at the moment, but I can add
I
that
know,
later.
And to be fair, it's not on the list. But since we came
Yeah.
down here, there is a different language. In the towns and cities and things, common is still spoken, but these guys are not speaking it. And when you were wandering around in the town of, in the city before,
Yep.
most people did speak common, so you can get by without it if you don't want to speak the natural language. Depends on where you were from originally, whether you were even native of Mezro or travelled there yourself from further north. Earlier in your life as a kitten?
I'd probably say I'm from further north as a kitten.
Okay, all right then. That way you've got common and you're still in the same boat as everybody else. Okay.
I just want to lick a Grung.
All right.
Sharpie will talk to them, or at least talk to a couple of them psychically.
Okay. And they seem, you get the sense that they seem quite wary of you, but they're willing to trade if you're not going to pose any threat.
Sharpie fairly curtly informs them that there's no threat, though we are just passing through, but doesn't particularly initiate trade or anything.
Yeah, okay, all right.
Is his usual sort of short, terse self.
Yes, yeah. Just the one you want that speaks all languages. Okay, well they sort of move off into the woods and you carry on, into the forest and you carry on. The next few days you've moved out of the Choltongar and across the open expanse of the Valley of Embers. It's this sort of black, muddy, swampy area. where ash from the peaks of flame gets blown from the winds from the south. And it's only a couple of days later you have one encounter with a pack of ghouls, which would be particularly, which could be particularly tough, but you would still see them handling. They would have no chance against you realistically, with you were all at full strength and everything. So there's probably about more than 20, so maybe 25 ghouls that you have to see off. Once you kill about half of them, the rest sort of scatter into the jungle. And with that, you appear in the bay off Ishao, and you can see Fort Jacus in the distance at the peninsula.
Nice. I'm just gonna try and look for my commanders and ask them how it's going.
Yep, they say they've had to fight off predators, but the predators, when there's such a large group here with a wooden palisade and so on, they prowl and steal what they can, but it's more scavengers that are the problem.
Any news from the group that stayed in Port Nyanzaru to recruit more people?
No.
Okay.
No ship or word.
Right.
But from there, if you could either strike camp and abandon it, or leave your troops here for the time being and set sail with a lighter group. Let's see. I'll just jump to the map. Where are we? We zoom in here. You can see Kitchener's Inlet. So if you come off the map where we just were and sail around, eventually you'll get to a bay, Kitchener's Inlet. Port Castiglia is a ruin now, and the ruins of Mezro, just a little bit inland from the bay up the river.
I think I'm gonna take my troop and set up camp next to where we're going,
Okay,
or near where we're going.
all right. So you take a couple of days to strike camp to try and retain a lot of the stuff that they've built and manufactured over the time, so it's a bit quicker to set up. And you travel for a few days sail, hugging the coast, and end up at Kitchener's Inlet.
Sorry, what was that last bit?
Kitchener's Inlet is where you've just arrived, which is the bay with a river off it.
Are we all supplied up rations wise and all that?
Yes.
Ready to strike out? Yes. Riddle, how are you for magic items, by the way?
I have a few of my own.
Oh, fantastic.
Okay. Now, how are you going to get by? It's going through some pretty dense jungle. Although it's a fairly large, fairly wide river that's flowing from the southwest.
Can we not just sail up to Mezro?
It's not going to. Let me have a look.
Seems to be on top of a ridge or cliff or something.
The ship may not make it sailing up the river. You might need to either fashion canoes or use the canoes from the ship.
Oh, if we've got canoes, we'll use them. If not, we'll make them.
Okay. So the canoes are pretty decent, the ones that you've got. You know, they would carry about 6 people each if you really had to, or they can carry a few people and a bunch of gear. You'd need to leave your Ankylosaurus behind. but otherwise you've got the plenty of space in the hold of the canoes. I mean, you're not in the hold, but in the bottom of the canoes if you need to carry more stuff. So you set sail that day. Start paddling that day, and for 2 days it's pretty incredible. It's a pretty incredible journey. You can sort of not let your guard down, but it's a beautiful travel through the jungle. The skies open above you. Loads of colourful birds and monkeys and other sorts of animals that you see that you've never seen before. And at night the whole place comes alive with sounds. A couple of times pretty creepy ones. You hear roars in the distance of something extremely big and not a herbivore. So there's something like a lion but bigger hunting out in the jungle at night. You don't hear it really close to you or anything like that, though. It's somewhere off in the distance.
Jackass, you need to get your men to bring us one of those.
Yeah. At one
Sure.
At one point, you see some canoes coming from upriver, coming down towards you. Probably about 10.
They look friendly.
Probably about 10 or so people. Well, one stands up or kneels up in the front of the canoe and has an arrow notched to a bow, but not trained on you. They seem to angle a little. And they start to angle sort of towards you, but off to one side, as if they're going to pass by you. Anything particular you want to do?
How close does it look like they'll get to us?
Oh, they look like they'll pass you with, I don't know, by 20 feet away or so. Talking range.
All right. So when they're about 100 feet away, just up river.
Yeah.
I mean, because Sharpie can talk for a mile if I can see them.
Yeah.
He'll try and talk telepathically to whoever's standing up with the arrow.
Okay.
Essentially, open up with, "Who are you guys? We're traveling to Mezro. Do you have any news of what's upriver?"
He says, "We are soldiers of the Flaming Fist, travelling to the mouth of the river for more supplies."
Well, we've got no beef with the Flaming Fist. We'll let you pass by. There was nothing serious on the trip up here.
Okay. They say they had an encounter. They reply, give you their sort of casual salute, and say fair travels. We haven't seen encountered anything ourselves on the trip downriver.
That's good news for us, Sharpie, then.
Sure is.
Okay.
Except that these guys are going to demand a whole bunch of our stuff if we loot anything on the way back.
Or they can try.
Sharpie nods.
Can you see the river that you're going along?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, you'll just have to simulate some canoes. At one point it opens out into a lagoon. Let's have a look. Let's pan across a bit. There is a bit of a strange thing here. You get to the lagoon. No, that's not Kingsport and a mammoth. I'll just get rid of them. This is how long ago I made this map. Thinking ahead. But there's these two muddy mounds, hillocks, poking out of but without any grass or anything like that, just very smooth, in the cloudy lagoon. Anyway, you particularly want to go? I've got Ash and Riddle in one canoe and Jacus and Sharpie in another. Obviously, there's some others with you as well.
Well, I mean, there's only one way to go, right? It's basically we just go along the river.
Yep. Well, can you see it's a bit of it? You can go left, right, or straight through the middle of them.
No, all I'm seeing is one S-bend.
Oh, really?
So we scroll to the right a bit.
Are we trying to head north or further east?
But you're actually going southwest in general, but the river turns and twists a little bit.
Okay, then I guess we just have to push through this one.
We go around the hills, obviously.
I just want to quickly cast Detect Magic as we go past those, just in case.
Okay. So let's see. Riddle, when you're at the back there, so you're controlling the direction, left, right, or through the middle. Okay.
Probably. I don't know. I'm just in the back paddling.
Okay.
I'm just kind of casting magic on myself.
Yeah.
Detect
right.
magic on myself as we go.
Sharpie, when you and Jacus get to going past it, over here, let's have a look. I'll just draw it in. Out for a circle. You see this movement in the water. And this serpent type thing, a huge head about the size of a dog, comes up, and then a longer neck comes up, and it rises probably 15, 20 feet in the air. And it's there's this huge splash of water. All around here. And it's chewing some sort of weed that's probably pulled up from the bottom of the water.
I guess we gotta keep our distance or we don't want to get squished by some of these things.
I really hope those hills aren't just more of its body.
From where you are, Sharpie, you actually see that it looks like a completely smooth, slick mound. What looks muddy, but from your distance and with your incredible perception of 22, you can see that it's actually covered in scales, and indeed it probably is the same pattern. And you're looking at the back of a creature that's probably on all fours in the water.
Does it look intelligent?
Not particularly, no. It's chewing and looking at you.
All right, well, I direct the boat around this thing.
Okay.
Looks like it's eating plants. Hopefully it will not eat us.
And with that, another head pokes up. Riddle and Ash. And this huge wave of water gets pushed as it sort of starts to pigeon its way along with its neck moving, then its body moving.
Paddle that way, paddle that way. And gesture towards the others.
Sharpie, your one seems to be sort of turning it. It's not turning its body a little bit, but it turns its head just to look at you.
Yeah, it can look all at once.
Yep. Okay, but you can you roll a nature, please? Or unless you've got some other skill you're trying to use to get yourself.
Animal handling?
Animal handling, yep, sure.
I'll add D8 to that. 21.
Okay, you and Jacques successfully navigate your way past. Whoops. What about you, Riddle and Ash?
Animal handling checks.
Yeah, unless you've got some other skill you want to try and put to use.
What about insight or perception? Anything to do with those?
We've done the perception already. And insight.
Maybe insight as to their motivations.
Yeah, I think that's more for intelligent things. Animal handling, you're sort of gonna. Animal handling or nature probably would be either of those two.
I'll give animal handling a go.
Okay.
Or I can give nature a go.
Yeah, you can try nature.
I got a 13.
Riddle, away you go with your nature. Nature. Very Aussie. 15. Okay. 15 and a 13 is enough. They're not aggressive to you. They're neutral. And you don't, screw anything up enough to piss them off or agitate them. And you managed to get Scooch past as well.
Yay!
So for the four of you, you continue on and travel for another few miles upriver. And at one point, there's almost cliff sort of walls and to the sides of the river. And it gets quite narrow. Looks like it's probably more of a delta. And so while it might be a large river, the one that you're actually on at any one time is pretty narrow. And I think Ash and Riddle, you're the first ones that feel some sort of scratch on the bottom of your canoe.
Something's underneath us.
Oh God.
And Ash, Ash, looking over the side, you see hands reaching up out of the cloudy water it's very still, not much of a current, and you're just slowly drifting lazily across a calm river, but there's arms reaching from below.
Oh, she was gonna look down tiredly, sort of like, oh, an alligator or some nonsense, and then she sees what she assumes is, basically undead hands reaching up, and she goes, okay, this is a problem.
Riddle cast levitate myself.
Just leave me in the boat.
Sharpie, you hear a splash.
Oh God.
Sharpie, you hear a splash, and looking across, you can see a mindless zombie just walking along through the jungle, and it sort of comes to the cliff, and then another one behind it sort of bumps into it, and it tumbles off the cliff and falls into this little ravine, and then sinks.
Yeah, psychically to all people. All right, looks like we've got zombies on the bottom of the river. Wonder why the zombies are coming this way.
So you just continue paddling, Ash?
Yeah.
Okay. So eventually you get to some slightly shallower parts, and you can see two arms raised and sort of drowned faces with the jaw just opening and closing in a parody of breathing, and looking up at the light that sort of must be shining down from above, the sunlight into the river. And it looks like there must be hundreds of these zombies that are trapped here. They're probably might be stuck in a muddy bottom or whatever, but apparently can't get out of with the steep sides.
And they're all underwater, right?
They're all underwater, yeah.
I'll join Ash back in the canoe.
At least 2 or 3 feet below the water, the tips of their fingers. Just every now and then there might be one that's taller or standing on a rock or something like that, and its claws can scratch the bottom of your canoe.
And do these travel like along the whole length of the river? Or
No, this was just for a short section, maybe 50 feet or so, where there was a much deeper chasm or a pit of some sort that the river flowed through and filled up.
If I say to the party, like, hang on, let's see if I can try to help them find some kind of release, and can I paddle back upstream to go back to them?
You can, yeah. It's far from rapids or anything.
I will.
Yeah, Jackass, we should probably wait for him to do his stuff.
Until you hear the tiefling screams.
I didn't say it.
I will cast Spirit Guardians around myself, and just this aura of twilight and sort of like, hazy angelic figures around me. They'll just stab and try and just kill the zombies as I paddle through them.
Okay, all right. So you basically get your drift net, your psychic radiant drift net or whatever it is, and all of the zombies are destroyed in one big sweep through. And you lay them to rest. You put them to rest.
The boat was just sort of like over their, now still bodies, and she'll just pray for their souls and then let the current drift her back to her friends.
Okay. All right, awesome. And then back to Jackus and Sharpie and carry on.
Alright, we'll just keep on, I guess, paddling through.
Yep. Okay. Finally, after days of travel upriver, the river opens up and spreads out into a wide flooded area, and you can see in the distance walls and buildings, ruins ahead of you.
Where are we coming from? Which side?
I'm just going to ping you. Can you see the token down the very bottom to the south?
Yep.
Okay. So I've switched it on Explorer mode, so you should see the city sort of greyed out, but you can't see the whole city at all at one place from your canoe or whatnot. So we've got some of the area that's visible to you, and you can see 2 huge towers flanking the gates to the city, and it's navigable by canoe. As you see, what might have been the main causeway through the city at one stage is now like a canal. What do you want to do from here? I'm using the party token where everyone has access to it, I think.
So I guess we should just head straight for the entrance, trying to avoid these big rocks along the way.
Okay, so heading north.
Yep. Can we see any like landing spots for our canoes?
Um, no, there's off to your right. No, sorry, to your left. There's a sort of raised area where there's plants and things growing, but then the walls rise from it, so it's probably more where there's just higher ground. So there's places you could row over to get out, either islands or banks against the wall.
Okay. I guess that's what we're gonna be looking for first, like a place where we can safely land.
Yeah, yeah, okay.
Where's the wall? How high's the wall?
Probably about 50 feet from water level.
If you guys have got some rope, I could hover up and tie an anchor point, and you guys could climb up.
Because you've got
Yeah, as
some.
long as we can find something to tie the canoes to.
Yeah. Okay. So you can easily find a place for the canoes I'm just navigating you across to where there's a flat area where you can pull the canoes up onto the dry land. And then Riddle, you take a rope, and what is it? It's not Step of the Wind, that's the monk thing. What's your warlock power?
Levitate cast as well, so
Yeah, okay. So you just levitate up to the top.
I'll just... Yep. And see if I can find anything to tie this rope to.
Yeah, it's a tumbled ruin with stone. There's plenty of places, plenty of large boulders and things you could tie the rope around.
I figured.
And everyone else can climb up without incident. Get over the walls, and there you can see the city's lined with statues of heroes. And beyond is completely overgrown tangle of jungle, and interleaved all within this what look like residential dwellings of low, squat stone buildings. Jacuz, which way are you striding off? North? Can you move the token, by the way?
Yep. Start at north.
Okay. Yep, you can go again.
Sharpie's going to study this map, trying to find out where these key locations are going to be.
Okay.
Also, Barbara, does Riddle seem reasonably bright?
Define reasonably bright. She's not an
So
idiot.
are you average
in
intelligence,
theory.
low average,
About
or
average.
above average intelligence?
About average. She's not super smart,
Alright.
but she's not super stupid. She's a little bit gullible, though. Just a little bit.
Right. So yeah, Sharpie will either do the map study.
Okay.
Yeah.
And Artis says the place he took the rubbing from was the statue. And he
Well, that
points.
narrows it down.
Oh no, the statue of King Osor the First, I think it was. Yeah. And he can mark that on your map for you with a drawing of some sort.
Sorry, is Artis with us, or is this what he said before we left?
No, Artis, Masika, and Drankenbait are with you. I'll ping it for you. That's probably better. Over in this direction.
Ah. Does it look familiar? Riddle?
It's been a while since I've been here last.
Riddle,
I can only imagine.
Riddle, this quarter to you is the residential quarter where most of the regular citizens lived. But there is a sort of landmark. You can see the buildings form a sort of concentric circles, and there is a landmark in the middle here that you're approaching, a few blocks away.
Do we see anything wild as we're passing through?
Plenty of signs of animals. Arctis Simba at this point takes the lead and says, "Here, I've got something to show you." And you go forwards. It's on. Let's see. And Artis pulls away some vines and some rags that are sort of woven to resemble vines, but to give even clearer cover. But if the vines were to die for some reason, and he says, "Here, this is where I hole up when I come to in one of my many journeys to Mezro." And he says, "This is a relatively safe place."
What is it? Just like a house or something?
Yeah, just like a random house, one amongst the hundreds that you've walked past. They're all pretty much empty, apart from any animals that might have taken up residence there. But he's cleared one out, and it's not really, it's defensible, but it's more about not being being obscure and not standing out at all, hiding in plain sight.
Are we taking a break here?
Yeah, he says, "Well, if there's anything
Let's push on.
if there's anything you don't want to carry with you, you could just leave it here." But he goes to his stores and restocks a bit of with a bit of stuff. Nothing major.
I'll just summon ice from here.
Okay. So you saddle up, Jackus, or are you walking along next to him?
Just walking next to him right now.
Riddle, Ice is a giant white wolf the size of a horse.
Is this place big enough to hide White Rose in it?
Yes, yeah.
I'll ask White Rose to hole up for the day in here.
Okay. All right. No problem. The owl's very happy sleeping during the day, so. So you head off to the right, or Artis leads you off to the right, and up some steps, and then you're looking out over the river. And looking to your left, you can see this enormous pyramid type structure, golden, and there's like a statue of a regal, although peaceful looking Cholton sitting on a throne facing directly at you.
Hey, what is facing me? Facing us?
Like a giant statue of a god.
Oh, can I do a religion check, or do I recognize it?
Yeah, you would recognise it as Ubtao, but do a religion check in any case. You may have heard of this. How'd you go?
Oh, I have the slowest dice. Oh, not bad, not bad. 19.
Oh, okay. So you would have heard of legend of Ubtao. Obviously, was the great god of Mezro and Chult in general, and he sat and watched over his city that he built himself for the people of Chult. And the legend goes that while he sort of sat and watched, caring for his people, the odd thing is that it always looked as if he was facing you, and it always looked like that, no matter how many people were looking and from whatever direction. So based on the perspective of the viewer, it always looks like the statue is oriented towards you.
How bizarre.
Mm.
That is cool and creepy at the same time.
the eyes follow you around the room.
Almost as if this place was made by a bunch of illusionists.
Yes, and illusion was a heavy theme of the ancient magics of the time of the construction of this.
What
Riddle's
if this
doing
god
the old.
Uptow was just an illusion?
Riddle's doing the old, walking a meters to the left, meters to the right. It's like its eyes are following me.
Yeah. Artis asks, shall we carry on and see if we can get to this the statue, where I can show you where I took this rubbing?
Yep, sure. Is there a bridge across this canal?
There are vines. So as you can see on the map there's these huge vine sort of tendrils. Sharpley, you're pretty confident that you'd be able to just walk across them no problem, but it's still it's not just stairs.
Do the vines look safe to travel upon?
Oh, they look strong. They don't have a lot of movement in them.
Right, Sharpie, go first. Walk across.
Okay. Do you want to do a acrobatics for me? You can have advantage. It's relatively easy. Okay. With
You should do it.
a 22, you get across handily. Anyone want to go next?
Jacques used the vines to like swing to the front.
Oh, they're well above the water. They're probably at the lowest, are about 10 feet above the water.
So what did Sharpie do to get across?
He just walked across as if they were a bridge.
Oh, okay. Oh, I'm too heavy for that.
Each vine is about as thick as your arm, and there's probably about 20 or 30 of them all tangled into a braid.
Alright, I'll try that as well with ice.
Okay. Athletics? Acrobatics, sorry.
Athletics.
Acrobatics.
Mm,
Ooh.
nope.
Okay. So Ice and Jacques plunge into the water, and looking down, you can see you can see Ice sort of doing the whole doggy paddle thing, and paddles over to the edge, scrabbles out, and scrabbles up the other side.
I'm gonna just try to grab onto ice as she's paddling.
Yeah, she
Get me
paddles
across ice.
she paddles you out. Dragon bait and tries, and he falls in and has the same problem. He has to swim himself across. And then Artis tries and falls as well. But even with advantage, he rolled a 2 and a 3, and Dragon bait rolled a 2 and a 2. Ash. I think you're Ash and Riddle. What are you going to do?
Yes. Well, how bright is it?
It's
Is it still full daylight or?
Yeah, it's full daylight, but there's a constant haze, so it limits long distance vision somewhat.
Hmm. I will make an acrobatics check, I suppose.
Okay.
Sharpie just keeps watch at the other end for everyone.
Yep.
Ooh, a dirty 20.
Okay. So while Ash is going across, Sharpie, you spot that there's some crocodiles congregating in the water underneath this rope bridge.
I do not tell Ash this,
Okay. Ash, you make it across.
but he will telepathically tell the people in the water. Still coming.
There's no one in the water now, but they've all gotten out. They went before Ash did. But Riddle and Masika still haven't gone across. Riddle, do you want to have a shot or?
I cast levitate on myself and bounce across like a little kid skipping.
Okay, you levitate and then haul yourself across. And Masika rolls a natural 20 and sort of dances her way across the rope bridge. And you find, you find yourself looking down into a different quarter of the city. This looks like it must have been some exclusive place. It's all gardens, jungle. Oh, you know gardens now, obviously. Just all natural jungle, but with huge temples or mansions of some sort. You're heading down?
Yeah, Jakku should take point. Keep your shield up.
Okay. Eventually Artus gets you to this little peninsula poking out into what looks like a large incursion of water into the city. And he points across where there's this statue of a large armoured warrior type holding a sword aloft, just on the other side of the river. And he says, "That's it. That's the statue where I took the rubbing."
Well, check it out.
And he also points. I'll ping it here. See, there's a large structure directly north of you, almost.
Yep.
He says that's a point of interest as well. Yeah, it's the where they used to have the bestiary. So, I'm just going to take us to another map. Let's see, launch page. Now Ice is with us this time. Okay, so you're at a bridge. Let me know when you can see the ruins here.
Yep.
Yep.
Okay, great. Whoop. Oh, things are slowing down on my end here. I'm clicking too fast. When I'm talking, it's fine. Ah, there we go. Okay. Yeah, you come to a bridge.
Can you
that-
grant me access to ice?
Sorry, Jackus, what's that?
Can you grant me access to move ice?
Ah, yeah. Okay. Try now.
Oh. Yep, got it. Thanks.
Okay. Yeah, so there's a stone bridge across part of a flooded. Well, I guess it would have been a stream at one stage.
Who wants to cross first?
I think it was you,
Sharpie will
Jackus.
go.
Okay, Sharpie. Sharpie,
I'll go next.
Sharpie, as you cross, you can hear Jackus and ice behind you. You get about halfway across, and you can see some sort of large boulder at the other end of the bridge.
Two large boulders or just the one? Because I can
One.
see the two that are on the map.
Oh yeah, no, I'll ping it over here.
All right, gotcha. Yep.
Yeah,
All right, I'll
Which
keep an eye on it.
it doesn't look like a
Moving forward.
boulder. It's rounded, but it's an odd shape from this distance. And once you get to the end of the bridge, you can see.
That telepathically will want everyone else.
Okay, it looks like a giant ball with a single eye and a huge mouth. And it's got other sort of like snake-like tentacle things coming out of the top of it, with smaller eyes on it.
Is it alive?
No, it looks like it's been killed. There's slashes and gashes all over it.
All right, there is a dead something here. Actually, does Sharpie know what a beholder is?
Yeah, just do nature or arcana. DC 10, pretty easy.
I can't fail at that.
Is that a challenge?
Yeah.
I literally cannot fail. Because the only way I can get a 9 if I roll a 1, but I re-roll once.
Right. So if you re-roll, if you
I actually
get
checked that. Yeah.
if you get a 1 twice, I suppose.
Well, I get reliable anyway, so the lowest I can roll is an 18.
Right. Roll anyway. It's not really so much a pass-fail. What I usually do for dice rolls is how much you learn based on how well you pass.
So that's going to be exactly 17.
Okay. Yeah, so you would have heard of beholders before, and it'd freak you out a bit to see something like that just dead on the ground.
Okay, guys, something here killed the beholder recently.
Oh dear.
I'll
Go ahead.
I'm gonna ice to like sniff around and check for tracks or
Okay.
something.
Can you do a survival ice? You can have advantage.
Voltage. Oh.
Yep. How'd you? 5, 2 5s. Okay.
Yeah, 2 5s.
Yeah. Okay. So Ice is a little bit confused by this scent of this abomination, and Dragonbait wanders over and he's holding his sword out, looking up and down the river for any other signs. That was-
As Ice is searching, Draft is gonna do a divine sense.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, something prickles the back of your neck. You're not sensing anything in particular, like oh look, there's a wraith, or oh look, that's an undead, or whatever. But there is something very wrong, very evil nearby.
Oh, alright. Just tell everyone to stay on the lookout. I sense something bad near.
Right. Chubby stays on the lookout.
That I cast mage armor on myself just to be sure.
Okay. Just bring the seeker up with you as well.
I've really got to learn to do that someday.
Yeah. Okay. You carry on and find yourselves at the foot of the statue that you were trying to find. It's moss covered, overlooking the lake, depicting an elderly Cholton, now that you're close, holding a sword to the heavens, and he wears a circlet and braces. His other arm is missing at the elbow, however, and Artus turns to you very dismayed and says, "This is King Osor the First, one of Mezro's Beret, the longest serving of the Mezroan people." Ash, you would recognise that this beret is wearing a circlet and braces, which are like signs of office. The Negus Negusti, which means Prince of Princes. And he reigned for 1,500 years.
Wow.
Despite being human.
I ask a riddle about him.
Riddle, you would know of King Osor being a revered beret from ancient times.
He was before my time, but he was well known.
Mm. He had each of the beret have miraculous powers gifted by Ubtal, and his was the power to remember with precision every event he had ever witnessed.
I pass this on.
What was that part, sorry?
He has the memory of perfect recall.
Got the keen mind feat.
Mm.
Wow.
Yeah, he had a feat.
Okay. So.
The other thing that Artus says is the stone tablet was in his hand that is now smashed. Someone has defaced and destroyed the only tablet depicting these milestones, these pathways that might be a key.
Oh, damn it, not this again. Cult activity, you reckon?
He doesn't know. But he's looking curiously around, trying to find pieces of broken stone.
I will
So there's
help.
no,
I will help
there's
low.
no.
No, there's no relief to make a rubbing from anymore, and Artus can't find any of the pieces of it.
So it's been taken.
Well, Artus, looks like you've got the most valuable piece of parchment around.
Yeah. Ash. Oh no. So it was. What was it? Riddle. Can you do a investigation for me while you're doing that snoop around? Okay. You cannot find any other pieces of the broken tablet to try and piece together anything. In fact, it looks like his arm is completely sheared, the stone of it. It's not been snapped.
I think I've accidentally done the wrong thing. Sorry, I've done nature instead of investigation.
Okay,
Apologies.
do your investigation. Oh, okay.
I'll take the nature.
You take the 5? All right. The statue's eyes are shards of mirrored glass. Riddle, you would know that people used to come to this statue to ask questions. Particularly about the past.
I'll tell the others.
Okay?
Are we trying to find a certain store of information here, or just looking
We're here
for
to
that
find
person?
your demon.
Yeah. I guess Artis.
Well, that's true, but we.
Artis is trying to find
Go
the whatever these scholars are talking about that might be a key to open the door to the real Mezro and follow the path of the people who've said we hide in shadows, or whatever it was that was written on the parchment.
Alright.
Masika says this is the most powerful of the beret. Beret means in law language Pal Aladin.
So the most powerful of the rulers, or
They were sort of rulers, but probably more protectors of the city, or archangels.
How many king statues are there here?
Oh, there's only ever 9 beret at any one time.
9.
well, do we have? We know that this beholder was slain recently, but is there any sign of how recently the tablet was smashed?
Are you just having a look, or asking people, or?
I'll ask the team. Like, do we think that? Well, first of all, I'm concerned that there is again another extraplanar far realm incursion here.
Right.
But do we know how? Maybe how does the timeline match up? Because remember that cult was also in that lost city of Ythrin, trying to smash the way in,
Okay.
smashing the clues. So
Probably just the fists that we passed on the way in, or other looters just took it.
When you say that, when you ask that, Ash, you notice something in the eyes of the statue. They're like mirrors. And remember, there was a mirror in Votaran that showed things that was different to what you would normally see reflected in it. And looking in looking in this mirrored eye, it shows you as if you're looking in a reflection, sort of bouncing off at an angle, and you can see down at the severed hand of this statue, and you can see a woman in a white robe approach the hand when there's approach the hand, yeah, when there's a tablet still attached to it, as if it's holding and looking down at the tablet. And she's got very ornate, it's quite probably some sort of ethnic dress from a different country, not the sort of dress that you recognise in Mezro or in Chult, and not from the north definitely either. And she's got quite heavy gold jewellery on. Probably sort of Egyptian looking, with a simple white dress. long hair and a staff, and she approaches the statue and she takes a rubbing of it. You see her do it in the mirror. And after she finishes taking the rubbing, she looks like she's talking to people off camera or out of the mirror, so to speak. And then she gestures with her hand and then clenches her fist in this 2 foot wide diameter ball of black energy comes floating in around her and then basically disintegrates the stone in the hand. And then she goes as if she's just pushing something away in the air, and the sphere just moves away from her. And in the direction that it moves, she eventually strolls off in that direction too, looking confident.
Was the tablet visible in the image shown by the mirrored eye? Like, would it be readable, even if it was like reversed?
You could get a view of it, yeah. And from what you saw, it resembled the rubbing that you've got.
Oh, I relay this to the party, and I say, can I make is there any knowledge check I can make to understand the kind of magic that she was wielding?
Yeah, Arcana would do.
I also describe this dark warp to Sharpie in case he knows better than I do.
Arcana or religion.
I've never seen.
Arcana or religion.
Oh, Sharpie, do you want to make an Arcana and I help you? You're probably better at it than I am.
Okay.
And then I mentioned that this tablet is something we already have, by the look of it.
That will be a 17 and I'll boost it.
Okay.
24.
Okay. The dress resembles that of the Wizards of Chisenta, which is a sort of desert realm, farther from Cholt, farther from even further away than the lands that you all know. Probably something that's just read in history books or in legend, but you also see from the dress that they are symbols of a god of entropy, which the Chisentans worship. And I think I mentioned last week that there's supposed to be this huge god of a huge nihilist god in Chisenta that attracts the worship of all of the population. It's pretty much a universal religion, and these seem to be entropy worshippers, or at least this woman is.
Alright, looks like we've got some Chincentus gods on the loose. God entropy worshippers on the loose. So, time's a bit ticking.
If I move my eyes away and climb down, do I get the sense that the mirrored eyes would show the same image to someone else?
You think that your questioning before the statue has given you an answer. So you've triggered some sort of power.
Oh. Maybe this being a city of, riddles and illusions, they value asking questions, or they are specifically, maybe whatever latent magic is here is specifically wanting to help us. Maybe it understands that we're not on the same team as these villains.
Maybe. So do we want to search around randomly? Do we want to look for the places on this map, or do we want to chase after Chisentans?
I feel like if I feel like we may have to stop this cult destroying other pieces of evidence because this rubbing seems to be the one that we have, but if they destroy others that we don't have, I don't know. You said there were 9. Maybe we should try and secure all 9 first? Sort of like the Towers of Yithrin?
Didn't they say we've got to go to all the different key points, basically, on the rubbing map?
Yeah.
I would assume some of them would be on there if it's all in the city. So 2 birds, 1 stone, maybe.
Artis is keen to split up and try different routes.
Oh.
Maybe
You
if
think we
he,
should split up?
maybe if he, Dragonbait, and Masika cover the ones on one side of the river, you cover the ones on the other.
Sharpie, are you able to link us telepathically such that we can communicate throughout the city?
Of course.
That would be good. And if you lot run into any danger, you just come inform us, and we'll try and we will sort of a plan of meeting or something.
Okay.
We can always rally
Done.
back at the camp.
You guys want this side of the city or the other side?
They don't have as much magical power in there, so they'll stay on this side of the city just because they don't have the flight and levitation and all of that you guys seem to have in abundance. Okay, Sharpie. Let's see, Sharpie and Jacus. You feel something as if you're being watched. Jacus, it's the same sort of sense that you had a while back when you did your divine sense.
Do I know which side, which direction it's coming?
No. No, it's just, like if you feel you're being watched or something.
Sharp, you'll have a look around trying to find out who's watching him.
Yeah, can you do a perception for me?
And Jack was doing too, and
Yeah.
so will Ice.
All right, I'm going to re-roll that one. So that is a 20 plus the psychic. 26.
Okay. You smell something, absolutely a stench coming from, I can ping the distance over here. So there's a bit of a rise where you are and a bit of a ruined statue sort of thing. And you see this this glowing orb floating up over above some bushes.
Yep. Psychically alert all the others and point the direction.
And it's sort of, you can see it. I don't know if you can see it from where you are.
Yeah, I can.
Yep.
Yeah.
And with that, Ice and Jacus, you spot what looks like the corner of one just on the other side of the ruined landing above. I'll ping that one for you too. Can you see that there?
Yeah.
And so with that, they look like they're hunting you, moving towards you. They've got the central eye in the middle is all milky, and they do have lots of sword wounds covering them, and some of their eye stalks are cut off. I'm just opening up the turn order. Clearing it. So you can add yourselves in, but it's initiative.
Same.
How do I change my name? I need to change my armor to 16, but I'm pressing on the gear and it's not doing it.
Your armor to 16.
Yeah, on my token.
Blue one. Is that it? You might not have had access.
No, I think the 18 is a passive perception, right?
Is it? I don't think my perception. No, that was my AC because my perception's 19.
Oh.
Unless we change that to 19 now. You might be right.
You
Maybe
mean
it's
on the
perception.
name tag? The name tag is supposed to be passive perception.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. Oh, great.
Okay, so I've got zombie beholders, Sharpie, Riddle, Jackus. I need a...
Rolling now.
Who don't we have? And it's 9:36. Just before we start rolling dice, let's take 5 minutes and I can grab a coffee. We can take a quick break.
Nice.
Yep, sounds good.
Okay,
Sounds good.
back in 10. But is everyone back? I know not. Well, I just had a PC catch up with me somehow. It was on almost frozen for a second there. Okay, so is it just me? Oh, okay. Everyone's so quiet. Patiently.
I'm here.
Okay.
I need to be shuffled into initiative order.
Yeah, to get us. Let's see. I haven't rolled initiative for the dudes. No, it's never great. So, sorting, descending, bit of action music. Let's see, so we've got Ash and then Sharpie, Riddle, then Jackus, and then these beholder zombies. Ash, Louise, and Jackus, I'm just putting ice in your initiative roll, assuming that you're together. So Ash, Louise, it's your turn. You're partially obscured by some jungle foliage there. There's a large rise of mound of earth and a ruined temple or of some sort between you and the zombie beholders. What do you want to do? Crank that music down. Crank that music down a little bit.
As an action, I will activate my Channel Divinity Aura.
Oh, okay. And that channel divinity, remind me what the radius is?
30 feet.
Okay, so what I did was I took the APIs away to try and save on some processing time, and it seems to be working. And the side effect of taking the APIs away, which was those the little auras that showed how healthy you were, I think we can put your aura back on there. 30? Yes. Okay, so your aura's back. The twilight shines out. And that's an action, is it?
Yes.
Okay. Do you want to do any movement?
Yes, I will move I will move alongside the tree line, I suppose, just to get closer to them.
Okay. Well, you move your token, your 6 squares or so. And then you finish your turn.
Okay, I'll move.
And add your token.
As a bonus action, I will conjure a spiritual weapon next to the nearest beholder and.
Oh, okay. All right. Do you want to check to see that you've got access to that spell, or do you need me to drag it out there?
Sure, I can check in a second. I'm just rolling. Okay, 24 to hit. And let's see the damage. Ooh, very nice. 12 force damage.
Okay, let's have a look. All right, the force damage does the full damage to it.
Well, I can see the spell, but I'm like, how do I drag it out?
You click on the title, not the picture, and drag it to the board.
Doesn't seem to do it for me.
Okay. Easy enough. I can drag it out there. No worries. Okay, so that's your spiritual weapon has had a slash. You've done your twilight aura, and then it moves on to Sharpie.
Aim and throw psychic blade.
Okay. All right, roll to hit.
Does a 14 hit?
Ooh, no, it doesn't.
I will add some dice to it.
Okay, you psychically empower your throw.
Does a 20 hit?
It does.
.24 psychic damage.
Whoa. That's a front stab, I believe. Okay, Riddle. Oh, do you want to move, Sharpie, or do anything else?
I aim, so I can't.
Okay. Riddle.
I'm assuming I'm 240 feet from the nearest enemy.
Yes.
So I'm just going to throw all 3 of my Eldritch Blasts at the one that's being attacked
Okay.
by the spiritual weapon.
Now, I've also tried to limit the number of things that obscure sight, all of that sight blocking stuff that Roll20 has. That's also to try and save on a bit of performance. It really grinds down with a lot of it. So while you can see the creatures there, I might have to let you know. So I think most of you can see one of them. I think it's only Jackus on his horse. And Ash, now that she's moved around, that can see the other one. But you know that one's there.
Yeah.
But go for it. You can fling 3 Eldritch Blasts at the zombie beholder you can see.
1. Wow.
What'd you get? You got a 13 there,
Yep.
which misses. An 11, which misses.
And the 11's gonna miss.
Yeah.
Yay! 18?
An 18 hits. Smashing into it for 8 force damage. And if you want to move, or bonus action,
No, I'm fine for the moment, thank you.
okay. Jackus.
Alright, so Ice is gonna move 60, 30, 25 feet here. And take the dodge action. And then while Ice is moving, Jackus is gonna draw out both his mace and the shadow stave.
Okay.
And attack the Beholder Zombie with the Shadow Stave first.
Yes, okay.
21 to hit. I'm gonna do a level 1 Divine Smite and a trip attack.
Okay, from where you are, you can see there's another one floating in the air across the other side of the stream. Okay, Shadow Stave, 21 hits.
For 29 damage.
Okay.
Plus he needs to DC 18 strength save or be knocked prone.
Okay. Okay, it fails and it's knocked prone.
Then we're gonna attack it again with Shadow Stave.
Okay. Second attack.
30 to hit.
That hits.
I'm just gonna use one charge of Shadow Strike.
Okay.
So that's another 20 damage.
Okay.
And then bonus action, Mace of Smiting. 20
Okay.
to hit.
Yep, that hits as well.
Okay. 8 damage on the last one.
It looks like you've done enough damage to kill it, and it's just now
okay.
ignoring the injuries.
Oof. Oh, damn. Okay. Alright, well, yep, that's my turn.
Okay. One of these, the one that's fighting you, turns one of its eyes to you, Jackus.
Uh-huh.
And this black ray comes shooting out at you. Can you do a dexterity saving throw?
Okay.
Okay. This black ray hits you, and where it touches you, it just completely disintegrates your flesh, and you get this like huge trough of muscle gone from your side, and you take 45 damage.
Alright.
Ow.
16.
The ray shoots past you and hits a tree and disintegrates the tree. The other one that you can barely see just sort of hovers, moves, and sort of hovers about 15 feet above the stream level, and trains another eye on you, Jackus. This one's green, and you need to do a Constitution saving throw.
Team?
Okay, you lean in the saddle and shoot off to one side, and the green misses you.
Oof.
Okay, this last one on the other side also floats across, and it shoots a ray at this one has just sort of got a dull purple to it, and hits ice. Can ice do a Constitution saving throw?
Will it have advantage if he's dodging?
Sorry?
Will it have advantage if he's dodging?
No,
or
it doesn't target you. It hits regardless. She's in the beam. It's more about what her health is like.
Yeah. 6.
It tries to draw out the life force, and to the extent that ice takes 36 necrotic damage.
No!
Gone.
Poor ice.
Okay. And Jackus, standing on the other side of the stream, you see this figure. He's wearing black armor, has a sort of shimmering shield, and a strange sort of longsword curved in an ancient Mezroan sort of shape. His skin is taut across his face like a mummy of some sort, and but otherwise he has a helm as well. He sheaths his sword and conjures this ball of fire. Or it's strange. It sort of flashes back and forth from black to bright white hot. He moves his hand back and then hurtles it at you. Let's see. It sails across the ravine, lands behind you, and then explodes. Holy moly. Ash, this is going to get you as well.
Yeah, I would expect so.
I'll position it there for you. We'll see. Yeah. Okay. Can you roll a dexterity saving throw, both of you?
Ooh, it's a spell, isn't it?
It's a magical ball of fire, so it's not a spell, but it's a magical effect.
Bugger, no advantage.
Okay. Some things are specifically spells, and some are spell-like effects, depending on what it is that you've got.
Oh, thank God. Okay, dirty 20.
Dirty 20. Okay, so that's going to pass.
Oh. Phew.
How about you, Jackus? I didn't see your roll.
13. I rolled a 13.
Just put it down. Okay. Sorry, I'm getting requests from off camera. Right. Okay. So this is a Hellfire Orb. It is not a fireball. And what that means is it does as much damage it does a lot of fire damage, but it also does a lot of necrotic damage. So first there's the fire damage to take, and that's going to do 36 or 18 if you pass, and I think Ash, you passed. And it's going to do 33 necrotic damage or 16.
Alright.
So Jackus, that's 69 damage.
69. Yeah.
That's a nice amount of damage.
And he sort of moves out of sight. You sort of can tell where he is, but you lose sight of him as he goes behind this zombie beholder. And Ash Louise, it's your turn.
Okay. What was this? Half of the 33?
Oh, so for you, instead of taking, what is it, 30, 60, 70, no, 69, so 34.
Oh, actually, I'm resistant to fire damage, so I take quarter of the fire damage and half of the other one.
Yeah, that's right. So quarter of the 36, so 18, so 9. 9 fire damage.
Yeah.
And 16 necrotic.
Oh, that's not too bad at all, really. Thank goodness.
Yeah.
Well, when all is said and done, Jesus.
Once the dust settles.
Okay, well, in in response, Ash will step 5 feet back from all that, and she will clasp her hands together and pray to Selune and Lathander, and she will cast Firestorm.
Oh, crikey.
She from the sky rains down a series of comets of starlight and moonlight and sunlight. And so I can create 10 10-foot cubes, which are all arranged in a line.
Yep.
So I'll hit all the beholders in like a snaking S pattern of meteorites, and then I will just fill in that whole cliffside. So no matter where that undead mage or whatever is, he's going to get hit by it.
Okay, all right. So there's this as you basically napalm the whole hillside. And
pretty much.
What do they need to roll, and what's the damage?
They make a DC 17 dex save.
Okay. Now, undead beholders are not the most dexterous of things.
Oh, good.
In fact, they get a -1. Okay, so for the first one, 2 and 3, there's 3 dex saves. An 11, a 2, and a 12. All 3 fail, so all 3 take 40 damage. Whoops, that's wrong. Hold on. Okay, the first one finally dies to its massive injuries, and the other 2 take the full 40. As they blister and crackle. Oh, that didn't apply. -40. And at the back there, all the vegetation's gone. And let me see. What did we say? Dexterity?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, he fails that too. And so takes the full 40 damage.
Did you see, Sharpie? I did a big spell.
Did it work? I can't see.
Humongous.
Right. Well, I can't let anyone let me top that. So
Bring out the big guns, Sharpie. What are you going to do?
Sharpie's just going to walk over here so we can see, and he's going to do fireball because that seemed like it did a good thing.
Okay. The fireball will catch all 3. What range is it?
Met 150.
Okay,
Massive.
no worries. Okay, cool.
25 damage. DC 17 dex save.
Okay, so first the beholders. Okay, both of them
They
fail.
got this.
Oh no.
Surely that will
0.
pass with a 0.
Yeah. And 25. Okay, got it. -25. Okay, so they are cooking. They're bubbling. And where is he? There he is. Dexterity. Oh my goodness. He fails as well and takes the full 25. Whoops. And that's your turn, Sharpie, I believe.
No, I'm going to bonus action move up
Okay.
to there. And now I'm done.
Okay. Jacus.
wait, did you miss something?
Can't hear you. Lean into that mic.
I think it's supposed to be a riddle
Hey!
first.
Yeah, it was.
Oh, Riddle, I skipped you. Where are you? You're off my screen down there in the corner. What are you gonna do?
Well, if we're being fancy, I'm gonna use a bonus action and cast Tasha's Otherworldly Guise on myself.
Okay.
And take the upper planes form.
Okay.
So I'm immune to radiant and necrotic damage. I am immune to being charmed. I get wings.
Nice one.
Armor class boost. All my magic attacks are magical, and I can attack twice instead of once.
Awesome. So
So-
it looks to everyone else like Riddle becomes an angel. I'm putting a bit of a solar aura around you, and we'll try and make you a flippable token maybe for next time. So you get an angel token and yourself. Do you want to move? That's a full action? So do you want to move at all?
No, that's a bonus action.
Oh wow! You hear at your hip, Riddle. I think this is the time when I would be most useful in this situation.
Get in there, Richard. I'm gonna pull Richard out,
Right.
and then I'm gonna use my 40 foot of fly.
Okay.
Come in as close as I can. So what's that?
Just use the arrow keys.
Yeah. Is that 15?
That's
20.
no, so from. Hang on.
No.
I'll show you. Where are you? Back here. So.
Yep.
Whoops. Hang on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's 25. 30. 40 gets you about there.
Not a problem. So, how far? Trying to remember the tabaxi thing. Is that a
Yeah, is it a bonus action or not?
bonus action? That's what I'm checking.
Okay. Because if it's not, you can.
When you move on your turn in combat, you can double your speed until the end of your turn.
Okay.
You can use it once.
Okay.
So I'm gonna use that. That should put me up to the closest beholder.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Alright. And I am going to cast Vampiric Touch on myself.
Okay.
And I believe I get 2 attacks.
Not with a
Is
vampiric
it 2
touch.
attacks? No, 1.
Vampiric
No.
touch is a spell, so your action would be to cast a spell rather than
Yep.
having-
Not a problem.
So if you take the attack action, you
'Cause
just
it's-
roll your 2 attacks.
Okay. So was that, we doing it once? Sorry, am I twice?
Yeah, 2 attacks because of your Tasha's otherworldly guise.
Yep. So. It's 1. And does it work?
I'm seeing vampiric touch. You've got one or the other.
Yep.
Either you cast your vampiric touch and do a spell as action, or attack action, which is 2 attacks with your sword.
No, I've done the Vampiric Touch. I'll stick, I hit the wrong button.
Okay, okay. So, because
I'll stand by it.
Yeah, no worries. Because I can sometimes vampiric touch and things like that. You actually have an attack as part
Well,
of the
that's
spell.
easier to have.
But it
It
says,
says make a melee spell attack.
yeah, okay. So that's right. So it's not two. It's not 2 melee attacks. It's a spell attack. So your Tashas won't matter here. But you reach out, try to grab the beholder, hit class 11, but miss it, and that will be your turn.
I missed that many tentacles.
Yes.
Yep, that's the end of my turn.
Now, when you miss it, let's see. You'd hear this voice. My God, you're an embarrassment.
Oh, that's not very nice.
From your sword.
I'm being mocked with your own sword.
And you...
Shut up, Richard.
You feel a vicious mockery whipping your ego. And you need to do a spell save, DC 14.
That's wisdom?
Mm,
Or
quickly jump into it. Vicious mockery, there we go. String of insight, yeah, you're right, wisdom. How'd you go?
I rolled a 20 to save.
Oh, well done. Okay, so you ignore Richard's haranguing and now you know he's... Oh yeah, Beholder's begone. Where are we? So that's you, Riddle. Now we go back to Jacuz.
Okay, I'm gonna run up 10 feet here and then do a long jump.
Okay.
20 feet.
To jump across?
So I land here.
Yep.
Yep.
Oh my God, why?
And then I'm gonna take my first attack with Shadow Stave on the Beholder Zombie.
Okay, where you go?
I'm gonna Shadow Stave. 32 to hit.
Yes.
I'm gonna do a trip attack. A level 2 Divine Smite.
Unloading.
And 2 charges of Shadow Strike.
Okay. So divine power, the shadow stave
48
triggers
damage.
How much? I can't see it.
48 damage.
Oh, 48. Okay.
Yep.
Alright, that kills it. One shot.
Oh God.
And then I'm gonna do a bonus action Misty Step. Appear behind this creature here.
Okay.
And let's see. Yes, do my second attack with Shadow Stave. So 15 to hit.
Armor class 15 misses.
Oh damn. Okay. Action Surge.
Okay.
One more. 31 to hit.
31 hits.
Is it do I know if it's undead?
Well, it looks undead. It looks sort of skeletal.
Because I'm gonna do a level 1 Divine Smite first.
But you haven't
And then-
done a detection or anything.
Trip attack and Divine Smite.
Okay.
Level one.
Level 1 Divine Smite?
Yep.
Okay. So it does take the additional damage as if it's a fiend or undead.
Okay. So that's 20 damage and it has to do a DC 18 strength save.
Okay.
Oh, it saves.
Yep, it saves.
Okay. Yep, and I'm gonna do my last attack. No shadow stave. 26 to hit.
It flings its sword up and blocks the sword.
Oh, okay.
Blocks the
Even at
stave.
26.
Yep.
Okay.
It's
Alright,
using some sort of. It's using some sort of reaction ability to do that.
Okay. All right. Yeah, that's my turn.
Okay. First riddle. The zombie beholder you're fighting swings an eye in your direction, and a crackling beam comes sailing your way. Can you do a Constitution saving throw? Oh, a 5. It's not a natural one, is it? No, it's not. It's
No.
a natural 2. You take 25 necrotic damage. And I think you take half because of Tasha's. If you've got angelic, you're resistant to necrotic and radiant.
Yeah, I'm immune to necrotic, if I read that correctly.
Wow.
You're immune to fire and poison if it's lower planes, or radiant and necrotic damage if it's upper planes.
Great. Okay.
Yes. Amazing.
Yeah. This is a 7th level spell, I believe.
Yes.
Right.
I get it once every long rest.
Yeah, okay. What did you say? Every long rest?
Yeah, every long rest. I wish it was short rest. That would be awesome.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So well done. Tasha's.
Sorry, can I just use my reaction there
Yeah.
and cast Hellish Rebuke?
Hellish Rebuke. Now it depends on.
Caster's feat as well.
You have been targeted with a attack, not a melee attack. It just Hellish
What,
Rebuke trigger on both.
It just it says I can use it as a reaction.
Yep.
One reaction which you can take in response to being damaged by a creature.
Oh, which you haven't been damaged. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's not actually on attack, or like if, it would actually matter if you got caught in a fireball. But if you're immune to the fireball, you wouldn't be able to do it. Anything else?
Nope.
Okay. Oh, that was a reaction, wasn't it? It's actually his turn.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So this guy, Jacuz. Let's see. Riddle, can you roll a perception roll for me?
What could possibly go wrong?
All right. This creature fighting Jacuz, you recognise as wielding, as being dressed as a beret, a protector of Mezro. And maybe once upon a time, this was one that you recognise. You know, when they were living, I mean.
Okay.
Okay, here we go. Jacuz, this creature before you casts some sort of spell. You get a sense that it's a paladin spell. Can't tell exactly what, but he's the way that he's beseeching a god or whatnot. Sort of gives you that sort of sense.
Riddle, you are within counterspell range. Just saying.
But
Is it an actual spell?
no, you don't. Let's see. You'll have to do it for next time. Because Ash cannot see him casting it. To remind you.
She's also used your reaction.
Oh, that's true.
Did I? I thought I didn't end up using it
Oh, okay, sorry.
What was
because
the
it wasn't a
What
trigger.
was the reaction? Oh, the counterspell, yeah. Yeah, you have it.
Yeah.
You still have your reaction, but
Well, if I
you'll have to
save
remember
it.
to do it on your own.
Yep.
Yeah, so he casts some sort of spell. And then that sort of empowers his weapon, which he then strikes you with.
Okay.
Oh, why does...
He hits armor class 14, so that misses, I'm sure.
Yep.
Thank God for that.
Yeah. He then swings back and swings again. Oh, natural
Miss.
one. The 14 is a 3.
Lucky.
The 14 is a 3. The
Yay.
other one is a natural 1. And then he swings and has a third shot.
Jesus Christ.
And another 3. Oh my God.
You are so lucky.
So 3, 1, 3. All 3 swings miss.
You could be dead right now if you landed all 3.
Yeah.
I know, right?
And that is his turn. I don't know how you got there,
Oh.
Jacques.
Whatever God Jacques prays to has his back today.
Ash Louise, it's your turn.
Ash will she will dash forward sort of like 30 feet to the edge of the river. Can she see everything now that's going on up there?
Once you get to the edge of the river, because there's foliage and things in the way from where you are.
Okay, great. She just shouts to this now like, defoliated cliff like, Jacques, why'd you go there by yourself?
Yeah.
And then she will cast heal and heal Jacques for 70 hit points.
Okay. Just check your range, because I see he's outside of your
Oh yeah. Heal has a 60-foot range.
Great. Okay. So heal goes off.
And then bonus action, the sword will just tootle along and slash at the zombie.
Okay. 1, 2, 3. Yep. Okay. Roll a hit. It can reach the zombie, no problem.
Oh, 27 to hit.
27 hits.
For a whopping 7 force damage.
Okay. Takes the full damage, but still conscious.
So I'm back to paper cut damage.
Yeah. All right, Sharpie, you're off to the side there. What do you want to do?
Yep, so Jacques is still fighting this guy from...
Yes.
Alright, aim and throw.
Okay.
26 should do it.
Yep. 26. Yes, it hits.
Good to know, good to know. That'll be 21 psychic damage.
Okay.
And that's my turn.
Jacques.
Oh, Riddle.
I must have you two around the wrong way around. Is it Riddle then you, Jacques? Oh yeah, I see. I can see by the numbers. Okay, Riddle, you're up.
Yep.
You just got mixed around, I think. Okay, Riddle.
I'm gonna swing twice with Richard.
Okay.
I mean, Fire of Destiny.
Fire of Destiny.
It's
Watch out.
the other thing is with Tasha's otherworldly guys, I get to add my spell modifier instead of my strength modifier to my weapons. Weapon attacks.
Great.
Sorry, just a moment.
You become accurate.
Richard. Yay!
This is what we were made for.
Alright.
Oh my god. What did you roll?
That's alright, I get 2 shots.
Did you roll a 1?
So that's... I rolled
No,
like a 6, but I get a whole extra 2 to that. I'm gonna go out on a limb and say I missed.
Are you sure? Because if you rolled a 6,
So-
you should be adding...
Yeah, I rolled a 6, so it'd be +3 instead of +1.
But why +3? Your spell modifier would be your proficiency plus your... whatever your charisma spell modifier
Okay,
is.
sorry, it's in +8. My apologies. I'm with it. So
Even with the sword, you're proficient in it, so...
Yeah, so it'd be +8. So sorry, it would be 14.
14 might still miss anyway, but I'm not saying it's great. It does. It still misses. Okay. Try again.
Try one more.
Ha ha.
So that's 20.
All right. Okay.
Plus. So that would be 9 damage.
Okay. All right. Well done.
Yay, I hit something.
You get congratulations from your sword.
Oh, official, you get 16 temporary hit points in my aura.
Oh, you do. Yeah,
Thank
you're in the twilight.
Yeah, every time you end the turn in my ring.
Jackus.
Alright, I'm gonna shout back at Ash because I love the challenge.
He's trying to give me a heart attack.
And since I see him calling out to his god, I'm gonna use a bonus action to call out to mine also. Vow of
Ooh.
Enmity.
Nice one. Okay.
So all of my attacks will have advantage.
Yeah, definitely,
So
for
I'm
the
gonna
next
hit
minute.
first.
A worthy foe and very hard to hit because he's dressed like a knight.
24 to hit.
Okay, the 24 slings in and he throws his sword out and smashes it and blocks the weapon.
Alright, second attack. 19 to hit.
That
Come on.
misses, clangs off his shield.
Dang it. Alright, yeah, that's it.
Okay. Riddle, back to you. This last surviving beholder zombie swings its black beam of disintegration on you. Can you roll a save versus dexterity?
Dexterity?
Yes. Ooh,
17?
Okay. You do the matrix thing and there's this crack at the a rock behind you, 10-foot square, just vanishes and is completely sheared, but you've dodged it. Jackus. Let's see. Ooh. Okay. This guy goes to strike you again. What I was just checking is his weapon is still empowered. It hits on
Yep,
class
that hits.
on class 22.
Yep, that hits.
Doing. Where are we? Doing 10 psychic damage as it strikes.
Plus.
And you need to do a wisdom saving throw.
Okay, so. Stop saving throw.
And you got the 10 damage.
17.
Okay. The 17 fails.
Okay.
And so what that means is, from a staggering smite, it's a 4th level paladin spell, you have disadvantage on attack rolls and ability checks and can't take reactions until the end of your next turn. So you sort of spend one turn with the disadvantage. Now, aside from all
So
of
I'm
that,
just gonna have straight rolls next turn because I still have my vow.
yeah, the vow of enmity, yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
It also does just the bare weapon damage of 11.
Okay.
And his powers are necrotic in power. Sorry. Yeah, that's right. And it does 13 necrotic damage as well.
Okay.
He swings back for a second attack. Hitting armor class 23.
Hits.
This time doing 28 damage. The third one. Hits armor class 15 and misses.
Misses.
Ash Louise, your turn.
I drop a sacred flame on the beholder. It must make a DC 17 dex save.
Okay, it fails that. You can do full damage.
Okay. Uh, 10 radiant damage.
Ooh. Okay.
Actually, no. No, that's wrong. Hang on. There should have been one extra D8. Oh, 15 there. It came out correctly on Beyond.
You kill it. With a cantrip.
Huzzah.
Alright. It drops down into the ravine and starts rolling down the stream.
Oh, fantastic. I'll bonus action try to move the sword as far as possible. I don't think it can quite reach this turn, but it can move 20 feet. So I'll just shift it onto the cliff.
1, 2, 3, 4. You can make it.
And then I want to... Oh, it can make it? Okay,
Yeah.
I'll make it. 3. I will make an attack. I rolled a 4, so never mind.
Okay.
And then for my movement, can I... Oh, hang on, let me check this. I will just move along the riverside
Okay.
here, so I catch Jacuz in my aura.
Okay. Sharpie.
Sharpie's quite happy where he is, letting
Yeah.
everyone else take beatings, and he's just going to throw another psychic blade into this guy's back of this guy's
Okay.
head. Aim and throw.
Okay.
23 should hit.
Ooh,
I
23.
will re-roll the 8. Just
Okay,
so the
yeah.
first one is. Nope, I'll take the 23.
Okay. With the 23, he brings his weapon up and parries it.
Oof.
Here's our arms. So basically, that becomes a miss. I would like to use psychic power.
Okay.
29.
Oh, 29 hits. You slink through.
Wow.
27 psychic damage.
Oh, nice one. Okay. The Battle of Wills. Like a counterspell battle.
Yeah.
Okay. Riddle, your turn. You're still flying there over the stream. Fully tash it up.
What you got?
I'm going to use Innovation, which is a dex save. It's 60 feet, so I'm assuming he's within range.
Innovation.
Yep.
Okay.
It would be necrotic damage against an undead. Go ahead.
Okay, he passes.
He beats it anyway.
He passes it with a natural 20.
Oh my god, natural. Oh, you know what? Better a naturally against a spell than against Jacuz, to be quite honest.
True.
Yeah.
Is that you, Riddle? Do you want to do any flying?
Yeah, I'll fly up in front of him and be a meat shield.
Okay,
There we go. I'm a meat shield now.
move yourself across. All right, Jacuz, it's your turn.
Ooh.
Can I move to this square here, or is this like a mountain face?
Oh, hang on. Is it your turn? There's the beholder's gone.
Yeah.
Yeah, they went on 6.
They're at 6, I think.
Yeah. Okay, where you go, Jacuz?
Can I move to this square here? Or do we do flanking?
No,
I forget.
no.
No. Can I move here?
Yeah, you can move there.
Alright. I'm just gonna try and attack him with a shadow stave.
Okay, roll to hit.
30 to hit. I'm gonna do a pushing attack. Divine Smite level 3.
All right, here it comes.
And 2 charges of Shadow Strike.
Okay.
So that's 48 damage and DC 18 saving throw.
48 damage in total is enough to
Yep.
kill him. And
Oh,
his
shit,
whole
okay.
skeleton crumbles to dust inside the armor.
Free suit of plate armor.
Want to check out his sword?
Yay! And you both get temp HP.
And that sense that you felt when you first cast Divine Sense diminishes.
Oh. I let everyone know that it seems to be this group that's the bad sense I've been feeling since the start. I don't feel it anymore.
I see.
Yeah.
But presumably something has reanimated the beholders. Like they didn't just go kill themselves and resurrect themselves as zombies.
Who knows? Beholders actually do a lot of weird stuff.
I mean, you would know better than I. I know very little about beholders, I must admit, but I feel like there's something even more sinister than a beholder. You know, something that could corrupt very powerful monsters, even into undead.
Mm.
Well, that Death Knight or whatever he was is no joke.
No, he wasn't, and he's supposed to be one of the good guys.
Like, he's supposed to be one of the good guys?
Wasn't he one of the protectors, supposedly?
He used to be.
Clearly not anymore.
What do you know about the Death Knight riddle?
I'll let you know. Let's have a look. Riddle. This Bara was Raz Tefima. Once upon a time. And Raz Tefima is a disgraced Bara.
I will let the other guys know that he was disgraced.
You never knew of him as undead or anything like that. He was disgraced and banished.
Yep.
But whole and living at the time of when you were petrified. And Masika's confirms that's her understanding as well, as far as she recalls. But his purpose as a protector of the city was to protect the holy places from defiling.
Well, he's not doing a very good job.
Excellent. Well, now that we've dealt with him, we can go defile some holy places.
Go berserk.
Sounds good.
Yeah, is there still any loot to check from his body?
All of his, well, it's not like he had all gear. He had his tobe, which is like a robe of office, but it was all sort of pretty rotten and in tatters. The armour and shield is there. The sword looks like it's some sort of ceremonial khopesh type thing, effectively a longsword.
Okay. Oh. Alright. I don't need any of those, I guess. I'll just leave it.
The shield looks quite strange. It's sort of got a mirror or chrome sort of surface. Sort of shimmers like rainbow colours in the light.
I'm just going to
Don't
cast
you...
detect magic.
Both the shield and the armour radiate faint magic.
Oh, the armor. Maybe is this armor immune to the blight that's around us? Maybe I could use it, or Jaku, someone who can wear like heavy or medium armor.
No, it's clearly mine.
Let's see what armor it is first.
Oh, it's plate. It's full plate, but it's not metal. Looks like it's made out of some carapace sort of thing.
You should wear it, Jaku.
When we get a rest, maybe we should identify it first.
Yeah, that's true. If it's cursed, you don't want to start strapping them on, because you might get some kind of curse. Yeah, but definitely pick them up.
Yeah, let's bring them. Well, I'll bring them along.
Okay.
First.
So longsword, shield, and plate armor from Raz Tafima, the disgraced Bara of Mezro.
Well, that was a hell of a fight, everyone. Bravo! But
Ready for
I
a
think
nap.
we blew. we fired off.
Man, you guys just don't have the stamina.
I mean, I still have my weakness spells. I'm just saying, I did drop, a heal and a firestorm, so I'm like, ooh, that's the big guns.
Yeah.
I could do a healing spell for you, Jackus, quite easily though. I can, if you'd like.
Yeah, it's fine, but I think the short rest works for me and Riddle, so if he gets the spell slots, I get my fighter's stuff.
Oh, fair enough. Okay, I will make a tiny hut, and then we can rest in there for an hour, maybe.
Okay. You managed to get a short rest hiding out in the Lehman's tiny hut?
Oh, and I will just cast Aura of Vitality first, because I can convert my Channel Divinity into a spell slot, and then I short rest and get my Channel Divinity back anyway.
Okay.
So I may as well just use it. I'll just cast it now.
Okay.
So that's 10d6 worth of healing.
What's the spell you're casting?
Aura of Vitality.
Okay.
It's like 2d6 per round for 1 minute.
Oh, I see, right.
So I'll give 35 hit points to each other. And that's it.
Okay. So then you can roll hit dice and spend any if you want to also rest up and recover your short rest things. Is it Riddle? You get all your warlock spells back, don't you, after a short rest?
Yeah, I get all my spell slots back, but I don't get partials back. That's a long rest.
Yeah, you don't get.
Yeah. And you're also, will also be topped up back to 16 temp HP before the minute of my divinity runs out.
Yep. Okay. And identifiers on the items. Has anyone got identifier now?
Even if we just short rest. Yeah.
So Sharpie's quite happy to identify while the short rest is going on because he doesn't actually need a short rest.
Okay. Oh, so not cast the identify spell, but just muck around with it and investigate it?
I can cast the identify spell as a ritual.
Oh, right, okay. So you can do that anyways. Okay, all right.
Yep.
So
he won't rest, but he'll cast spells.
Okay, so then the armor is not actually magic armor. It's got a minor, I guess it's common at best. It's just got a minor enchantment to stop it from rotting in the same way as some organic matter does in Cholt. But it's scorpion armor. And the effect of it is that it's not metal, so it doesn't incur the same penalties you get for running around in heavy metal armor in Cholt. And the other benefit is resistance to poison when you're wearing it. Otherwise, it's plate mail armor.
All right.
That works for me. I'm the only one who can use it anyway.
All yours, Jackals.
And Ash, I think, too,
Alright.
wears plate armor.
Oh, you do? Full plate?
Yeah.
Well, I only have 10 strength, so I think I can wear medium, but maybe not heavy.
I see.
If it has a 13 strength. Yeah. Unless it's like mithril, then I could wear it. But
Okay.
yeah.
All right. So plate armor, and the shield is been again made out of natural organic material. It's made out of a shell of a flail snail.
A flail snail.
Yes.
Excellent. Good to know. I'm assuming that's a snail that has a bunch of flails on the side, so as it goes forward, it just whips people with flails.
So the Masika can tell you flail snails are native of Cholt. They're enormous and they
I thought
have.
Masika wasn't with us. Actually, I can talk to her anyway. Never mind.
Oh yeah. I keep forgetting this, but they have multiple. Rather than just having two appendages as tentacle type eyes, they have multiple of them, and they sort of and with knobby ends that they can attack with, which is where the flail comes from. But their shell has incredible anti-magic properties. And if made into a shield, it can provide magic resistance.
Cool.
That is amazing. Jacuz, you should definitely have that.
Which one? What?
A shield
Magic resistance.
Oh, what does it require attunement?
I'll check.
Or I could take the magic resist shield and then I give my magic resist cloak to someone else. That's the other way to do it. Depending if you want it. Because you can just have the shield. Because both of us can use shields.
Okay, here we go. Magic resistance. I'm just checking what that actually means on this. You have to invoke it. It doesn't require attunement. It's +1. And the form of magic resistance, the way that they work is they sort of mentally invoke it, and they reflect spells back, and like a mirror. And flail snails have got sort of like a mirror surface on their shell, and that's what this shield has. It's only a once per day action, but you can cause a spell that targets you specifically to reflect back at the caster exactly like a ring of spell turning or a spell turning effect.
Okay, well, I guess Neo can have I can have the shield instead of the armor. Does the armor require attunement also?
No.
Up to you, Ash. If you're not gonna use it, then I might as well use it.
Ash, do you use a shield?
Yeah, no, you take the shield. I do, but I have a mantle of spell resistance, I have that frost resistance axe, and I have Ring of the Ram. so I can't have another attunement item. But I already have.
None of those are attunement though.
No.
The shield and the armor.
Yeah, I mean it's up to you. Yeah, I wouldn't mind if. Yeah, well, at the same time, part of me is also thinking depends what Zach's new character will be, but we'll probably just offload it to him anyway.
Well, he's not
That's
here.
kinda like- Yeah, it's up to you. Do you have room? If you want that shield, that could be nice for you. The flex spell.
Yeah, I can use it probably.
Or can Riddle or Sharpie use it? Either of you use shields? Depends what kind of warlock you are, I guess.
I can use it as a tent.
You can always
Not
put
at
it
the
in
moment,
party
but-
booty as well.
And what does the armor do? Is the armor
Yeah, I can keep. I'll keep those two for now.
Yeah, give it. If we need to swap them out, we can give them
Yeah.
someone else later.
Okay. So sorry.
I mean, if no one is using the shield,
No, because Jackus, you use 2 weapons now.
oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Okay,
But
I'll use the shield. Sure. I guess I'm the only one in the party who has a shield at the moment, so sure, I'll take it.
Riddle, do you? I didn't quite catch what you were saying.
I don't currently use a shield, but further down the line, I think I might look into learning to.
But don't you? You would be proficient.
Because
with
I've
it.
got the Warcaster feel. I don't think I am.
Warlocks
thought-
aren't usually.
Because, yeah, I don't think warlocks normally do, but I think if you're like some like hexblade warlock can use shield, for example, or whatever. So it
Yeah.
depends what hex warlock.
I'm pretty sure I'm just light armor.
Fair enough.
But I have been considering taking. I did consider taking a shield. I might do that next opportunity I can.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, or multi-class fighter or something.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
fine.
a one level of fighter sort of thing.
Future plans.
Yep.
Okay, well, I guess I will temporarily use the shield. That could be fun. Reflect the spell. That would have been handy.
Yes. Well, it wouldn't have worked on the Hellfire Orb because it didn't target you.
Oh yes. Yeah.
It's sort of shooting back things
That's true.
that target you specifically. So magic missile might bounce back, or the innovation ray. Usually they're things that require a to-hit roll, magic attack or a spell attack or vampiric touch. Anyway, we've just gone 11 o'clock.
Okay. Yeah, and I'll take the scorpion armor.
Scorpion armor. Okay. All right. And if you want to put, do you want to put that on? You find that that's similar to your other stuff, but you won't cop the heat. So, heat.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's much better than moving around in the plate armor, right?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, I'll put it on.
Okay. It's also pretty cool. It's like glossy black scorpion carapace.
And it gives me resistance to poison.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So, I guess where to from here?
Well, I mean, Sharpie's got a copy of that map where the important points are that the map's listed.
Right.
Try and translate the logical map to an actual one.
Okay. I'll do that now for you. Let's see. Do we have everyone here? There's Ash, Sharpie, Jackless, Riddle. It was just the 4 of you for tonight. We don't have Masika, but doesn't really. She's not with you now. That half the party. We'll go back.
Oh, I mean, we did very well considering there's only 4 of us. Jeez.
That's a paladin of doom.
Yeah. The Jackus's damage is just disgusting.
Okay.
I still haven't crit the since we got here.
Oh,
At least you hit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
oh, there's always next time, Riddle.
Yeah, your rolls were pretty terrible this time round.
I think they were terrible last time too. I think I might be cursed.
Oh.
Well,
Well, look, normally my damage is cantrip and magic sword, so today was a great day for cleric damage. It doesn't happen often.
It's mostly just our long-range casters don't seem to do that well. I mean, we had Zach's sorcerer, Ash's spiritual weapon, and your Eldritch blasters have all been terrible for pretty much this entire game. I'm surprised we still use strange magic. I mean, our party must be like, why would anyone use these things? They're terrible.
yeah.
And that's when you bring up the magic napalm.
Now you should see now all of
All of
Mezro depicted on the map. So you can see it as the crow, from above, and get a bit of a bird's eye view. And looking at the logical sort of geometric map, there are locations marked with these little red towers, which are just marks on the rubbing that you've got. And you can see you've now been to one of them, which is, I'll ping it, this one down here.
Okay, cool. Yep, so we've been to the statue.
And it looks like there's a couple of other ones fairly close by. This one here, the bestiary, and another one across here. So
Right, well, we can always go to the ones closest. We don't have any knowledge of what order we need to go to, do we?
No, and it looks like you do need to do them in some sort of order maybe, but that's the way maze running works. But like they were saying, unlocking the key by doing them in the right order. Or maybe it's just a matter of activating them all quick enough. So where are you going to go? To the one that's on your side of the river?
The party's there, yeah.
This is where you are now.
Anyone got any opinions? Might as well go to the ones closest.
Okay, so you sort of scooch along the edge until you find yourself in a very old, dilapidated temple or shrine to what looked like the animal spirits or animal gods. Looks like they were also worshipped through Mezro. It's common. And you find another one of these, this time intact, stone statue with a depiction of the maze of life and a tau symbol, like almost a holy symbol.
Hey Ash, do you know how we might activate this as a holy thing?
Can I make a religion check to see if I know?
Yeah, sure.
Can I do guidance on myself, or anyone want to help me?
You can do guidance just before you investigate.
Well, can I help with my previous knowledge of the city?
Oh, that might be really useful.
Yes, yeah, you can give advantage to Ash by contributing
Here we go.
your knowledge.
Oh boy. Let's add a d4 to that.
Clearly, my knowledge was vast.
An 8
You gave her a
and
+3.
an 8
Yes.
and an 11.
The 12 now.
Okay.
Look at something.
All right.
Yay!
Oh no, I had an 11 there, so 15, I guess.
15. Okay. So just mucking around with it and investigating it, you find that if you trace your finger in the maze and start to sort of do the maze yourself, your finger actually gets stuck in there and you can't pull it out. And you sort of spend about 5 minutes or so tracing the maze until you get to the end of it, and then it seems to be empowered somehow. There's this arcane sensation, you can feel it, like a radiance, but not heat.
Did we do that to the other statue?
It didn't have the maze on the other statue.
That could be a problem.
We should take a rubbing as well. Don't know who might come around to destroy it.
Ash, can you roll a intelligence check for me?
Alrighty. Ooh, 13.
Okay. So when Sharpie's asking about did we trace the one at the last place, you didn't, which you know, but you also saw. Remember, you saw the woman, come up to the statue and destroy the thing and take the rubbing. Well, she did stick her finger in it and traced it.
Well, I thought at the time that the rubbing we had was basically the rubbing that was that statue.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So before
the rubbing is not the maze.
Before she destroyed the tablet in the hand of the statue, she traced it with her finger and activated it.
Oh. We may have to solve the puzzle before we can take an accurate rubbing, perhaps. If that's the order that she did it in.
Well, I mean, if we can't activate the statue that's destroyed, that could be a real problem.
So should we try to solve this puzzle first? Or...
Didn't you just do that?
Oh, did we solve it already?
Yeah, you've done it.
Oh, okay then. Has anything visibly changed on it? So it's solved like the labyrinthine sort of puzzle.
Not visible, but you feel you feel that you've activated it.
Oh. Well, it's done something. We should take a rubbing of it nonetheless.
Okay.
You have paper?
Take a rubbing using a scrap of paper, sheet of paper.
Yeah, I think I pre paper. Well, do you want to have a look at it, Archmage? Maybe is it connected to the other statues, or are we lifting the defenses of something? Like the glacier before the entrance.
Well, the idea is we have to either visit all these sites in a certain amount of time, or visit them in a certain order. So we've just started with this one. So basically, we want to start moving to the other ones, or figure out which ones we need to visit in which order.
Yeah. All right.
But the question is, obviously, we can't activate the one we've just been to.
Riddle.
Do we want to head to the next one?
You
Sorry,
hear a voice behind you. And it sounds old, and you hear a oh.
Been round? Hello?
Yep. and you see this ancient-looking human man walking towards you.
Brings you here, stranger?
He says, "I am a maze walker. What name do you go by?"
I'm Riddle. These are my companions. We're also running the maze.
"Oh, the maze of life. My name is Cha Nukumani."
It is an honor to meet you. Is there perhaps some guidance you can give us as we start on the path?
Whoa. Everyone's maze is their own to run. There's no right answer. Find your way. But find it with under your own.
I recognize that as the sacred doctrine of this region, but we are in a race against time, against evil cults. Surely there's some sort of hint you can be given.
Oh, it's the end of my time now. This will be my last run. He looks around and says,
"What happens when you run the maze?"
"Running the maze is a passage through time, child. I was born when this Mezro was a thriving city, as a young acolyte. And I have been worshipping Ubtao for my now 120 years, almost gone. I go now to the temple of Ubtao.
Has Ubtao granted you any revelations?"
He says, "Come, sit. Do you have any food?"
Stay a while and listen.
He says,
Yeah, we can obviously bring some rations and water. Surely.
Okay. So you share food and drink, and Cha imparts his wisdom of the last century of his life. He effectively says that he believes that Ubtal did not forsake his people, and because he lived through the experience, he thinks that the people forsook him, and he could see it, the way people were behaving. Ubtal's teachings are that you must walk your own maze. He presents the environment, and but the people of Mezro were looking to him to solve their problems, to feed them, to cure their diseases, to drive off their enemies. So much so that they were no longer walking their own maze. And so
sounds like the people became sheep.
And so he thinks that Ubtal did not leave us. He would never have left his people, but he may have removed himself so that they were forced to walk the maze themselves and learn. But when someone as all-encompassing as a being like Ubtal returns to the earth, every aspect of them would manifest in some way.
So aspects of Ubtao would remain?
Yes, and if these aspects were formless, thoughtless sources of power, and they found their way to beings that it might drive them mad or insane or even evil,
But what kind of being could do such a thing to drive the aspect of a god insane or evil?
Oh no, the aspect of the god entering a creature would drive the creature insane. And there are many of these creatures vying for dominance over Chult. But as we know, when the people of Mezro and the Baray all left, they would return once again once it was safe for the people of Mezro to return. But that is just my musings, my beliefs from my experience. I've spent many years wandering the jungles. And he asks of your travels.
Well, I was originally called to this place to fight Shavalak, but it turns out he is only one of perhaps a class of dangerous beings or a symptom of a disease here. And so I find myself being drawn deeper to try to understand this place and perhaps rescue it if I can.
It is a noble quest, noble undertaking. And I wish you
Thank you.
success.
I do find it quite interesting that Ubtao is committed to essentially free will and independence. It's a very interesting perspective for a divine being.
Mm. Yes, and that's the strange thing that the paradox of someone who watches over you and cares for you. And he sort of gestures to the huge pyramid where there's like a statue of Abtal looking at you. But you can see how people might become sheep. Anyway, and he sort of creaks to his feet and he says, I head now to the temple of Abtal. You're welcome to come with me if you wish.
Yes, we have seen firsthand how another culture fell to ruin from over-reliance on magic. It's quite different, and yet perhaps an echo of what happened here. I turned to everyone else. I would like to see this grand temple, or do you think we don't have time? I mean, there could be something useful there.
Can Sharpie do an insight roll on this guy? Basically see if he's is what he is and is he telling the truth?
Sure.
Yeah, can I help him do that?
Okay.
I should have thought of that, but oh well.
Looking at you,
Sharpie is slightly more paranoid than you are.
have to be
That's 20
insight.
Oh, sorry, that's an investigation.
Insight.
My bad.
And looking at your map, you can see that there's one of these locations left in your quarter, which is sort of on the way anyway. And then this temple is also another location. It's got the red rectangle on it. Sharpie, to you, he seems genuine and also seems, not 100% committed to his beliefs. He has a bit of self-doubt as well as to whether what he's saying is accurate or not.
Alright, well, I think we should probably go and have a look. It's not going to hurt us. We're not exactly knowing where we're going anyway.
Of course, we're here anyway.
Well, if I draw in, can you see on the map here? shift ping. I can do a bit of a freehand draw. So you came in here, then you went over to here. I'll make it a bit fatter, a bit easier to see. Here, snaked up, went into Artis Simba's place, across to the rope ladder, down here, across to the large temple statue, then you went up to this one here, and that's where you are now.
If we
And
come back
Artis,
across the river, we can visit the Colosseum
yeah.
thing.
Ah, yes. Yeah. So Artis, Masika and Dragonbait have all gone to these three here. Northern Quarter.
I'll telepathically let the others, the other three know that what we're doing.
Okay. All right. So with that, Char is willing to travel with you if you're wanting to detour to this other place, or he's happy to go in a direct route. It's either way is fine with him. It's pretty much a straight line.
If he doesn't mind a detour, I think we should stop in at this third place.
Yeah, this means crossing the.
So, yeah.
You got to cross the river
Yeah.
again. Yeah, you got to cross the river again to get there anyway.
Yeah, sure. Let's do it.
Okay. So it's just gone 11:30. So we're sort of 4 hours in. I think we should close now rather than carry on to another one. And we can pick up next session. But now that you're well deep into exploration of Mezro,